All of us are starting at zero now. There are no millionaires. Bonse tiche semu. Ndalama mdala olosuzi bopenda. Olosuzi ba mathematics ndalama yeve wamapenda so mumutu. Kuli vaso veve sunga niname boy. Banco la Zambia. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you for joining in on Zambia What a Day. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. We take a look at what's making news in our beautiful country, Zambia. And today it's all about Zambia, honestly. We're just taking a look at what's happening in our country. So welcome. It's always good. You leave a comment. Tell us what you think about some of the stories that we've got. And yeah, your own opinions on these stories. But we're always very grateful that you're joining us. Have I said my name?
I think so. I think it comes instinctively.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Plus,
Anyway,
everybody knows you.
funny guy. But for anybody wondering, my name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya, and let's get straight into it. What are we going to be talking about? It's typically for a journalist and for a newsroom, what we believe is the news cycle ends at like 15 hours in Zambia. But I think today's news cycle has gone beyond that. The currency alterations, although I think this is not exactly news. Yeah, the currency alterations were not exactly news for the typical journalist today, because we did kind of know what was coming, and the Bank of Zambia has been sitting for monetary policy review, the monetary policy committee, and they are scheduled to have a briefing tomorrow, which will basically explain all of this for the people. So this was not exactly news, the currency change, but I think even generally, a lot of people caught wind of this. I've seen a lot of people talking about it even before the Bank of Zambia made this announcement. It's just bigger news now because people see the extent of the implementation of what is being done. So we'll start from there, because I think it's important that we talk about this. But I also think that it's important to add some context to what is going on. But also, PS fired at the Ministry of Education over a very interesting interview, but also new MD at Zesco. So it's a lot going on in terms of news. He started his new role on Friday last week, on my birthday, which is the 7th of February 2025. So we expect. We were actually joking about this just last week. I think I was on Saturday, that the new PS has come in with a lot of with a bang. You know, that there's a lot of. I mean, the new MD, sorry, has come in with a bang with a lot of changes at Zesco. But let's start off first of all with the currency shifts. The Bank of Zambia has officially announced today that there's an introduction of a new family of the Zambian currency, and this is to be launched on the 31st of March 2025. And this new currency consists of 6 banknotes. This is the 500 kwacha, which is the highest currency note. Let me take a look at the comments quickly, just to make sure that they can hear me. Somebody says they can't hear anything. Kindly give me 100 if you can hear me. Please tell me if you can hear me. Somebody says they can't hear me. They can't hear anything. That's a bit strange. Yeah. If you can hear me, please give me 100 so I can continue. Because I see somebody says in the comments that they can't hear anything, but sometimes it can just. Okay, great. People can hear me, so it's probably just one of those X space problems. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. I usually like to check the comments because some people cannot. Sometimes you can be talking and people can't hear. But yeah, so there's a new family of currency, and this is 500 kwacha and 200 kwacha note. Now, and a 5 kwacha coin to be introduced. There's also 2 kwacha, 1 kwacha 15 way, 1 kwacha 15 way coin. So there's a 2 kwacha becomes a coin, 1 kwacha remains a coin. Then we have the 15 way, 10 way, and 5 way. I mean, I join the people asking why we keep making these 10 and 5 ways when they don't really have much value. And it takes us back to history on what happened. But speaking of history, I just published an article for those that love to read. You can just take a look at it. It's on my X account, but I'll just skim through some of the things that I said in that article, and they can also add context to where we presently are. I was speaking. I was on a very, very long call this evening with a renowned economist. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say his name, so I don't want to get him in trouble. But anyway, we were just conferring on what this means for the economy and what could have prompted this decision. Very solid, reliable information, very critical to what's going on, and it's undeniable that this decision being taken to fix Zambia's inflation, which has been on the run. And I believe that the Bank of Zambia is going to confirm that tomorrow as well, as they are holding their press briefing. But if you look at Zambia's history from the time that it gained independence, we introduced our first currency, the Zambian pound, in 1968. And before that, we were using the British pound. And if you look at the transition, some of the things you're going to take note of as we are going to look at this history of Zambia's currency is that every time that we have increased our note to have a higher one has been because of inflation. Even when we had our currency rebase in 2013 was because of inflation in an attempt to slow down inflation. You're right. So as of 1964, we had the the British pound, and then we introduced the Zambian pound. We had the Zambian pound in 1964, which was replacing the British pound, and then we introduced the kwacha in 1968, which was now replacing the Zambian pound, and the kwacha was an equivalent of 2 kwacha equals £1. So 2 kwacha equals £1. And throughout the 70s and 1980s, we know that Zambia's economy faced major challenges due to declining copper prices, and this led to inflation. And this inflation resulted in the devaluation of the currency, then the kwacha. So you can imagine the kwacha was once at 2 kwacha per pound. And this devaluation is what we've seen over the years. In 1973, our country introduced a commemorative 15 ngwe. This was the first time that we introduced the ngwe currency. And this was to celebrate the birth of the Second Republic. And this was when Zambia transitioned to a one-party state in 1973. So the Bank of Zambia then altered the design of the banknote, because the 15 ngwe was a banknote, and they made it a coin in 1974, and this was to avoid the confusion of a new note that was going to be introduced, which was a 5 kwacha. So there was no 5 kwacha until it was introduced, and the 5 ngwe was turned into a coin. And during this period, there was further depreciation of the kwacha, slightly against the United States dollar. The exchange rate was now 1 kwacha is equivalent to $1.28. Man, that would be great if that was today. By the late 1970s, the kwacha had definitely fallen below $1. By 1980, the currency structure remained quite similar, with the highest denomination being a 20 kwacha. There were some changes in the design of the banknote, but the highest denomination remained a 20 kwacha. 15 ngwe paper note was withdrawn by 1980, and in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, Zambia saw a decline in the economy, and it's the decline in the economy that prompted the election, also the early election that President Kenneth Kaunda called to that effect. And so to meet the increasing demand for cash in the 1980s, in the 1990s, I beg your pardon, there was a demand for higher notes, and these higher notes were like the 50 kwacha, 100 kwacha, and 500 kwacha being introduced. When the 1 kwacha replacing the paper note, and 2 kwacha note being withdrawn. So there was, I think, everybody. Okay, let me not say everybody because there's some people now that are very young, but I think most people will remember that there was a 500 kwacha note, but a 500 kwacha note was equivalent to what is now a 15 ngwe after the rebasing. So that 500 kwacha note was introduced in the 90s, although there was a further introduction of that, and we'll get to that much later. In the early 90s, Zambia adopted multi-party politics, and this led to the Third Republic and the economic industrialization and liberalization under President Frederick Chiluma. And as part of the changes, currency features were also updated, replacing President Kenneth Kaunda's portrait with national symbols like the fish eagle. And this is quite similar with what we are seeing with the notes that we have on the market now, but also the notes that are coming up are also celebrating more than just the wildlife that we have in the country. The 5 kwacha and 10 kwacha paper notes were replaced with coins, while smaller coins gradually disappeared, with a 25 ingwe coin being introduced. Even at this time, inflation was incredibly high when all of this was happening, and the public were not very keen to use coins, which is the case now, right? A lot of people are not very keen to use coins because they have such little value. And so there was a demand for banknotes. You will notice that in the early 2000s, up until 2013, there were no coins in Zambia. Zambia did not have coins. So in the late 1990s and 2000s, Zambia's economy faced further challenges, with inflation having a surge in demand for cash. In response, this is when the banknotes of 1,000 kwacha, 5,000 kwacha, 10,000 kwacha were introduced. By 2003, the 20,000 and 50,000 denominations were also added. So then President Levi Mwanawasa introduced those further denominations. But let's fast forward to 2013, where this started in 2012 when Zambia underwent currency rebasing, but the deadline was in 2013 for this currency rebasing exercise. And this was to address the effects of inflation. The rebased currency was designed by reducing the denominations by a factor of 1,000. So basically removing 3 zeros. And by removing those 3 zeros, it was resulting in the current banknotes and the coins that we have in circulation today with the updated national symbols. There was also the special Jubilee note of 2014. Jubilee was in 2014. 2014, which had the 5 heads of the presidents that had served Zambia by then. Some of those notes are still in circulation. I think you will come across one or two. I did come across one a few weeks ago, actually, and took a picture of it, really. Today, as you may have noticed, the Bank of Zambia has announced the introduction of a new family of banknotes, and the redesigned currency will include 6 banknotes, a 500 kwacha as the highest denomination, which is the highest jump that we've had. 200 kwacha note also being introduced, and a 100 kwacha note, a 50 kwacha note, a 20 kwacha note, and a 10 kwacha note. And then there's 6 coins. Again, I don't really, it's one of the questions that we've got to ask the Bank of Zambia tomorrow, why they insist on the coins. So 5 kwacha becomes a coin, 2 kwacha becomes a coin, then there's the 1 kwacha coin, there's a 15 ngwe coin, especially these 10 ingwe and 5 ingwe coins. The alpha code remains ZMW. The numeric code remains 967. You'll find 967 on your notes, even if you take a look at them now. And the currency symbol is going to remain K without being changed. And so the new series features advanced security enhancements and design elements that are celebrating Zambia's cultural heritage. And this includes the country's flora, its fauna, as well as the waterfalls. And so the Bank of Zambia is expected to issue a statutory instrument, and this will specify the exchange period and designated points for exchanging old currency. I know this one. And, it has been part of the speculation on why government has made this decision, exchanging old currency. Plus, as expected, there's supposed to be a nationwide campaign that is supposed to educate the public on this new currency security features and its usage. Of course, there's all these security features, but I think that the bottom line of all of this is the huge currency note of a 500 kwacha that simply looks at fixing or dealing with the inflationary pressures that the country has been experiencing. These two notes, the 500 kwacha note, the 200 kwacha note. And so the idea is that since things are going up, things are getting really expensive, the large transactions are going to be more convenient with these bigger notes because things are costing much more. You don't have to carry several hundred kwacha notes to buy one thing because the currency has devalued. And so this basically means it reduces the number of banknotes that you're going to have to carry. You're going to probably have, and this is expected also, you're going to probably start making more of those banknotes, except that their value has devalued over the years because of inflation. It is important, though, to mention that if this is not very well managed, the presence of larger banknotes on the market, I was talking to, again, a senior economist this evening, says that this might drive prices going up. And I see it, the higher the currency denominations, the likely that things are going to go up because there's going to be a higher note in circulation. And to the extent of this circulation, it's probably going to be very high because majority of the time people want the highest note to be with them. Except that, 500 kwacha is quite steep, it's quite a high value amount of money. And also, the cost of this is probably going to be very high. Printing money, phasing out money is going to be very high. Calibrations of various institutions, banks have to make adjustments. Everybody has to make adjustments, really, at this point, and it's going to be quite an expensive undertaking. What I noted, and I added this in my article, is at the end of the statement by the Bank of Zambia, you can sense that they have deliberate intentions of encouraging more and more of cashless transactions. And this is perhaps part of their strategy. If you look at the Bank of Zambia again, even in their communication recently, they've been encouraging a lot of cashless transactions for people. And yeah, you could see some of the things being done now are towards this strategy. But also, one of the interesting things you will note about this currency, I completely believe that it looks a lot like the South African Rand. It looks a lot like the South African Rand. This introduction, the colors are screaming South African Rand. Like, it just looks like the South African Rand. I also do think it's ugly, but I'm one of the people that thought the 100 kwacha note was ugly until I didn't, because I actually right now think it's actually a very nice note. I've always argued that it's the best note that we have, but generally I think money is ugly anyway. It's ugly. Money is money is generally ugly. I know there are uglier notes than others, but money is not really nice. Like, it's not nice to look at. It's usually very ugly. Even the dollar is not a pretty note. I think it's quite small and a bit ugly. But look at how much it can get you. So that's what you should know for now about this currency shift by the Bank of Zambia. And I'm just trying to take a look at some of the comments. All right. So the Bank of Zambia is expected to have a briefing tomorrow. The briefing tomorrow is going to basically tackle two different things. One of the things they're going to tackle is obviously this currency adjustment, But also, they are going to be taking a look at the monetary policy rate. The committee has been sitting yesterday and today, so there's an expected announcement also. Over the last over the last year, the Bank of Zambia has been making adjustments, over the last 2 years, making adjustments to the monetary policy rate. And this is in a bid to fix the inflationary pressures that the economy has been facing. Anywho, we'll be back tomorrow as well to take a look at this. Hopefully, we have all the context from the Bank of Zambia, and Noah Kabuta can join us as well to just talk to us on our space and weigh in on some of these pronouncements by the government. But let's take a look at other stories making news. The Drug Enforcement Commission has arrested Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu on charges of money laundering and possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime. The property in question is a farm in Sinda that is valued at approximately 8.8 million kwacha. Ms. Lungu has been released on police bond pending her court appearance. So this development follows a series of legal proceedings concerning the Sinda farm. In September 2024, the Economic and Financial Crimes Court ordered the forfeiture of the farm to the state, citing a significant discrepancy between Ms. Lungu's known income and the property's value, because the court found that from 2015 to 2021, her documented income was only 154,200 kwacha, and this was insufficient to justify the acquisition and development of the farm. But in January 2025, the Court of Appeal granted a stay of execution on the forfeiture order, and this allowed Ms. Lungu to retain control of the farm pending the outcome of her appeal.
The road to justice for former President Edgar Lungu's daughter has just begun, as criminal proceedings are initiated against her for alleged acquisition of tainted properties and money laundering. After being placed on the wanted list for absconding multiple summons by the Drug Enforcement Commission (DEC), Ms. Lungu finally appeared for interrogations at the Commission on a rainy Tuesday, February 11, 2025, accompanied by her lawyer Charles Changano. Some members of the Patriotic Front supporters were spotted meters away from the Drug Enforcement Commission offices, showing their support for her. After more than an hour of questioning, Ms. Lungu, who is also the Member of Parliament for Chawama constituency, was arrested by the Commission. She has now become the latest member of the former First family to face charges of money laundering and possession of tainted property, charges she denies.
Mrs. Tasila Lungu jointly and was acting together with other persons unknown on dates unknown, but between 1st January 2015 and 31st December 2022 at Sinda, in the Sinda district of the Eastern Province of the Republic of Zambia, having reason to believe that real estate property, namely Kumawa Ranch, situated at property number F/2278 in Sinda district, was a proceed of crime, did engage in money laundering by using the said property for business activities which included rearing of game and farming. Whereas in the initial case involving Kumawa Ranch, the state instituted non-criminal forfeiture proceedings whereby the ranch itself was subject of judicial proceedings. In the current matter, as a result of the evidence gathered through further investigations, the state has instituted criminal proceedings against the ranch proprietor, Mrs. Tasila Lungu Mwansa.
Ms. Lungu has since been released on bond pending her court appearance. The Commission has been actively investigating her regarding the source of funds used to acquire a farm, which is at the center of the allegations. However, Ms. Lungu has consistently denied the accusations, insisting that the farm was legally acquired with financial assistance from her father, former President Edgar Lungu. She has also criticized the investigations, calling it politically motivated. As the legal process unfolds, Ms. Lungu is expected to appear in court to respond to the charges. Her case continues to attract significant public and media attention, given its implication for Zambia's ongoing anti-corruption efforts and the scrutiny of high-profile individuals' financial activities. Darius Jonya, Damo News.
Yeah, so she just came back in the country a couple of days ago, and she's landed herself in all of this. She was scheduled to appear before the Drug Enforcement Commission the 11th of February 2025, and she went there and was arrested, and shortly after that released after meeting the bond conditions. The Drug Enforcement Commission is now pursuing criminal charges against her. She has to defend herself, and there's not much you can say about that since it is in Parliament. The president has fired the Education Permanent Secretary Joel Kamoko. Yeah, he appeared on the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation's news at 19 hours on Sunday, and he seemed inebriated. He just really, and he wasn't coherent. He was not giving appropriate responses to the questions. He didn't say anything out of pocket, but he didn't say anything in line with the questions he was being asked, and he just seemed visibly drunk. And the reason why we have to skate around it is because nobody breathalyzed him to prove that he was drunk. I mean, it could have been cough syrup or anything. I don't know, but he had that situation, and now he's been relieved of his duties. At the end of this statement, President Ijilema is encouraging public officers to take their jobs seriously. That speaks volumes, doesn't it? I think it says quite a bit about that. I like the man. I think he was a good guy. He is a good guy. I've had several interactions with him. I think that he's very smart as well, and he's very relatable. He's got that teacher vibe to him, and yeah, I always thought he had really good ideas. I had in-depth conversations with him a lot of times. So this is quite sad, but I guess we all have to be accountable for some of these actions that we take, and anyway, that's that. I don't think it's one of those things that needs to be analyzed. The president has taken action, which action we have now been made aware of. Zesco is dealing with new management. Engineer Justin Longo is the new managing director as of the 7th of February 2025. He has led Zesco in an acting capacity since November 2024, and before that he was the director of transmission, operations and trade. He was also the corporation, he has been in the corporation capacities between 1994, I beg your pardon, and 2016. He was general manager of the subsidiary Kariba North Bank Extension Power Corporation. Outside of Zesco, he worked at Lusemfo Hydro Power Corporation as the Chief Technical Officer from 2017 to 2021. He began his career as a graduate engineer at Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines in Luanshya. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Electrical Engineering from the University of Zambia and comes on this role with vast experience in project management, supervising renewable energy projects, packaging and managing EPC contracts, and executing projects that have been funded by bilateral and multilateral funding agencies and development finance institutions. And this includes the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, the Dutch Development Bank, Proparco, the Export-Import Bank of India, Exim Bank of China, and European Investment Bank. He has negotiated various EPC contracts and mobilized financing for the 120 megawatt Iteji hydropower station and engaged in different public-private partnership projects from conception to implementation. And he's also adept at financial modeling, negotiating power purchase agreements and conducting pre-feasibility and feasibility studies. Congratulations to him. He comes at a very tough time when the country is experiencing this harsh energy crisis. So it's very important that he gets the support, I guess. And we can only wish him the best, because if he gets the best, then he's able to do his work effectively. But Parliament has resumed its sitting for the fourth session of the 13th National Assembly after adjourning sine die last year. The resumption of the sitting saw the swearing in of 3 newly elected members of parliament, that is Simon Banda of Petauke under the National Congress Party, Justin Kapema of Pambashe under UPND, and Nason Musonda of Kawambwa also under the United Party for National Development. And it was quite interesting to see.
As Parliament resumed its sitting, the atmosphere in the chamber was charged with anticipation, a sense of new beginnings filling the air. The first Deputy Speaker, with a commanding presence, called the session to order, signaling the official start of the 4th session of the 13th Assembly. In a moment of great significance, the focus turned to the swearing-in of 3 new members of Parliament. Simon Banda, Petauke Member of Parliament, was the first to take oath of office, followed by Justin Kapema, Pambashe MP, and Nason Musonda, Kawambwa MP.
I, Simon Banda, do swear that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Zambia, to the President of the Republic of Zambia, and that I will preserve, protect, defend the Constitution of Zambia as by law established. So help me God.
I, Justin Kapema, do swear that I will be faithful and be truthful allegiance to the President of the Republic of Zambia, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Zambia as by law established.
I, Justin Musonda, do swear I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the President of the Republic of Zambia, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Zambia as by law established. So help me God.
The first Deputy Speaker has outlined the reason for the sit-ins.
Let me begin by congratulating the new members from Kawambwa, Pambashe, and Petauke Central Parliamentary Constituencies who have just been sworn in. Congratulations for your victory in the just ended elections. I wish you the best in your parliamentary journey. Honorable members, the main focus of this legislative meeting is the consideration of bills.
In a dramatic way, Leader of Opposition Robert Chabinga welcomes the MPs with emphasis that the Patriotic Front is not in any alliance.
I saw how happy all the parties were when our colleagues were being led to this house. But I want to put it on record, Madam Speaker, to state that congratulations to the UPND and congratulations to the National Congress Party. I want to put it on record, Madam Speaker, that as PF, we are not in an alliance with any political party. Therefore, people...
Order. The Honorable Member from Pika and Nakonde.
And the Vice President, Mtalina Lumango, equally communicates to the new MPs.
I saw when we received our new members of parliament, I think we saw some shaking and some people were very excited. That is a condition that has nothing to do with fear. That is a condition that has nothing to do with failure. So let us appreciate one another. Honorable members, as you embark on this journey, I urge you to remember that you have been entrusted with a great responsibility of representing the interest of the people that have placed their trust and faith in you. I implore you to work tirelessly towards the betterment and that of towards their betterment and that of our great nation.
During the sit-in, bills to be considered include the cybersecurity, cybercrimes, and penal code amendment, and the geological and minerals bills, among others. President Hakainde Hichilema is expected to address the nation on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. Victoria Kayeye, Yambani, Diamond News.
So those are the members of parliament that have gone into Parliament, and I guess breathing what is it called? Breathing a fresh breath? No, something like that. Anyway,
Breath of fresh air.
a breath of fresh air. Yeah, that's right. I think that's what I was trying to say. But anyway, finally, heavy rain on Monday night caused floods in Zesco compound of Kalomo and inconvenienced its occupants. Although there are no injuries and damages that have been recorded, the affected people are attributing the flood to the lack of proper drainage system in the area. And we've seen this even here in Lusaka. This has been the case.
Some unusual experience for residents of Zesco compound in Kalomo district, southern Zambia, as rains flood their yards. At Richard Munene's yard, the water almost penetrated the house. About 10 households have been affected. We have been talking about this challenge, but we are not sure whether the authority are in a position to help us. But they are aware about this problem. Keep it to them. Other affected residents are blaming the council for not putting up proper drainages causing floods in this area. This water is mixed with fecal matter. The source is a council toilet, and this happens often when the toilet reaches its capacity. Given the forecast of further rainfall, there is growing concern among the residents about the potential for additional flooding and the risk of contamination. Attempts to engage Kalomo Town Council were unsuccessful, as officials were reportedly occupied with other responsibilities. Gabriel Jasasmova, Diamond News, Southern Zambia.
So it's very important that the Ministry of Local Government and generally government takes responsibility on this. It's a huge task. But I think one of the biggest drainage problems has got to be in Lusaka. But we all are learning now that it's beyond just resources. It's the geographical location of the area, and now is when the big brains need to get to work and find a way in which we can deal with this problem. Nonetheless, thank you so much for joining in. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. What we do here is take a look at these stories making news across our country and sometimes beyond our borders, and try to add context to some of these stories. Well, do join us once again. After the Bank of Zambia briefing, we're going to get a couple of experts and a panel discussion to try and analyze this and what the future looks like for Zambia, and what the near future looks like for Zambia, and what the historical context of our currency alterations means, and how we can learn from what has happened in the past. So make a date to join us tomorrow at exactly 19 hours so that we can have this detailed discussion. Thank you so much, and wish you a lovely day. Bye-bye.